Now that we've got our dominoes done, we can go ahead and start making our drawers. Now our drawer is nothing more than a glorified box. So I'm doing my drawers for Blum drawer slides, so I'll be showing you how to do those as well. Nothing more than 4 pieces, 4 sides of equal height, and just make sure they're square. So we're going to go ahead and join them together. I've cut my pieces all to the finished size already, so I'll show you how to make the joinery for that. For my cabinet drawers, for the desk, I'm going to be using this pre-finished Baltic birch ply. It looks really nice, and you don't have to spend too much time finishing it because it's already done. And this is a great material to use anytime you are building a cabinet. For fine furniture, obviously you want to go with a solid wood drawer, but this is the perfect material for a ply box. There are many ways to make the groove that houses the bottom. Now, you could use a router table, or a router with an edge guide, or you could even use a track saw. But the simplest way in my shop is to use a table saw. Now I'm just going to use a regular saw blade for that. If I use a dado stack, the minimum thickness I can cut is a 1/4 inch. And as with all plywood, 1/4 inch just isn't a 1/4 inch anymore. So that would result in a loose fit. So I'll go ahead and show you how I set this up on the table saw. Since we're doing a non-through cut, I'm going to pop an arriving knife. And then I'm going to switch this combo blade out for a flat tooth grind blade. So just a regular ripping blade will do. The depth of my cut that I want is 6 millimeters, so I've marked off 6 millimeters on this piece of scrap here. I'm just going to raise the blade until it just goes under that line. And I'm going to take this piece of scrap that I saved earlier from cutting my sides, and I'm going to use this to cut a test. Since the Blum instructions stipulate 13 millimeters from the bottom, I don't really have a choice. So that's what I'll set up my fence to cut. It's very important to use a high quality push block, because we don't really have any other way to support the piece as it goes over the blade. So keep the stock nice and tight against the fence. So we have our groove. And it needs to be a little wider, so we'll move the fence outwards so we keep this 13 millimeter height here, and we'll go slowly until we get to our desired width. So a little scrap from the bottom just to test fit. Looks like I need just a little more. So now I will relax the fit just a fraction of a millimeter. With the anchor system, it's really easy. I can just back this out a little bit, and I've got fractions of a millimeter that I can adjust this fit down to where I need. So I'm going to try 0.3 millimeters. See how that fit looks. So now the bottom fits in there really nicely and easily. So I know exactly where I need to set my fence up for the cut. So I'll just cut the remainders at that setting. I'm just mocking up the drawer to make sure everything fits nicely now. And it's just, everything looks good, so let's go ahead and start the joinery. So with the same router bit we used earlier, we're going to break the edge on the drawers so they won't feel sharp and have a nice finished look. So we're just going to use that same bit in the CMS. So now that we've got our drawer sides cut, we're going to go ahead and work on a joinery for this. For the drawers, we're going to do a through domino, and we're going to plunge both side and front, or side and back pieces at the same time. And that'll enable us to get perfect alignment, and we'll just insert the dominoes that we made earlier for a perfect contrasting looking joint. There's 2 ways that I'm going to show you how to do this. One, they both involve the same idea. We're just clamping 2 pieces together so we can route them at the same time. So one way that you could clamp the pieces square to each other is on the MFT. It does take a little bit of fiddling around. The piece doesn't always want to sit exactly where you want it, and then you kind of need 3 hands to really clamp these up well. So for that reason, I don't really recommend it, but it can be done with a little patience, and you just clamp this top piece as well. As long as they're square to each other, when you route with the domino, you'll get a perfect through hole. And then you just pound the domino in and glue it up. Let me show you another method that I've come up with to do this. Here I've taken an old dovetail jig. I don't really use it anymore, as I use the anchor system for dovetails, but this actually is a perfect thing for holding 2 pieces at a right angle. And all I gotta do is just kind of clamp this front piece down first, just so it doesn't have to be aligned yet, and then just so that I can butt this piece up against here. And I'll just tighten that down. Now I can make sure this piece is flush and aligned. Just kind of do it by feel. What this allows me to do is put it perfectly without having to struggle with clamps. So I wouldn't run out and buy one. Maybe you have one of these lying around. Or, you know, you could build a jig, something like that, with 2 sets of clamps. Anything that'll make your life easier when you're trying to align these 2 pieces. When preparing for Blum Tandem drawer slides, there's one last step you need to do, and that's to cut a notch here. We can cut it to this groove and then 35 millimeters in. I like doing this on the bandsaw. It provides a safe and easy way to do these. I've set my drill press up to counterbore a hole on the inside of the drawer front. That'll allow us to attach our false fronts that we're going to build later. And we'll do 4 holes per piece. And I'm going to drill down about 3/16 of an inch, about 5 millimeters. And that'll give us enough room to house the 1-inch screw for the 3/4 inch drawer front, and then this 1/2 inch drawer piece.